By now, you've built a clear understanding of how value works, how needs shape value expectations, how those expectations form layers, and how offerings naturally occupy specific value zones. You've also seen that value can be expanded or refined by consciously deciding which layers you want to serve and how deeply. Now it's time to put that understanding into action. If you are a value provider through a product, a service, or an initiative, pause and ask yourself, what is my preferred value zone? Which layers do I genuinely want my effort to span? Are you focused on reliability and safety, connection and trust, identity and recognition, or growth and purpose? This isn't about covering everything, it's about choosing deliberately. Once that choice is made, a purpose naturally emerges. Not a catchy statement, but a guiding intent that reflects the value you are committing to establish. That purpose becomes the anchor for your decisions, priorities, and trade-offs. So the call to action is simple. Identify the value zone your effort belongs to, recognize the purpose that flows from it, and make both the center of your work. When value and purpose align by design, effort becomes focused and impact becomes inevitable. What this framework is really helping you do is arrive at clarity. Clarity about where you belong in the landscape of value and how that location naturally gives rise to your true purpose. As you reflect on the value establishment milestones, from availability and reliability through safety and connection, all the way to growth and purpose fulfillment, this articulation invites you to ask a very personal question. Which of these layers do I genuinely want my effort to operate in? Not where it sounds impressive to be, not where others are operating, but where your intent, capability, and conviction truly align. Once you begin to see your perceived value zone, something important happens. Purpose stops feeling like something you have to invent or decorate with words. It begins to emerge naturally. If your effort is anchored in making things dependable and safe, your purpose will sound very different from someone whose effort is anchored in self-advancement or transformation. And that difference is not a weakness, it is authenticity. This articulation is here to help you reconcile with that idea that purpose is not chosen first and value added later. It works the other way around. The value zone you commit to, consciously or unconsciously, inevitably shapes the purpose your effort serves. So the path being laid out for you is simple, but not shallow. First, recognize the value zone your effort naturally wants to span. Then, allow your core purpose to align with that zone, clearly, honestly, and without overreach. In the next part, we'll make this even more tangible by looking at examples of purpose statements and seeing how they map cleanly back to specific value milestones. But for now, this is the grounding insight to take with you. When you understand the value you intend to establish, your purpose is already halfway defined. Now, the natural next question is this. What kind of purpose emerges when you choose to operate in a particular layer? Because purpose is not something you invent in isolation, it reveals itself from the kind of value you decide to establish. When an effort is anchored primarily in the foundational layers, the purposes that emerge tend to be deeply practical and life-enabling. You'll notice they speak the language of well-being, nourishment, balance, and availability. These purposes don't try to elevate first. They aim to stabilize and sustain. They exist because the value being delivered is essential, dependable, and non-negotiable. As the center of value moves upward, purpose begins to shift in tone. When your effort aligns with layers focused on safety, reliability, and protection, the purpose often emerges as reassurance, creating a safer world, offering care, or standing as a constant presence people can rely on. The purpose here is not just functional, it is emotionally anchoring. When value is rooted in connection, support, and community, purpose naturally takes on a collective form. It starts to sound like inclusivity, collaboration, and togetherness. At this point, the purpose is no longer just about what you provide, but about what you enable between people. As value reaches the layers tied to recognition, dignity, and self-satisfaction, purpose evolves again. It begins to express ideals, excellence, respect, worth, and shared values. These purposes help people feel affirmed, aligned, and proud of the ecosystems they are part of. And when your effort is aligned with the highest layers, growth, self-advancement, and fulfillment, the purpose that emerges is transformational. It speaks of realizing potential, enabling growth, and creating pathways for meaningful change. Here, purpose becomes aspirational, pulling people forward rather than simply supporting them where they are. What matters most is this: these examples are not definitions to copy. They are signals. They show how purpose naturally crystallizes when your value zone is clear. Your task is to observe which layer or span of layers your effort truly belongs to, and then listen carefully to the kind of purpose that wants to emerge from it. That reconciliation between where your value sits and what your purpose sounds like is the real call to action here. When the two are aligned, purpose stops feeling forced and starts feeling inevitable. To close this section, remember that purpose is not something you add after the work begins. It is something you uncover by being honest about the value you choose to create. When you clearly locate your effort within a value zone and accept the responsibilities that come with that choice, clarity replaces ambiguity. Decisions become easier, trade-offs become intentional, and direction becomes steady. This is the point where value stops being theoretical and starts becoming personal, where your effort gains coherence and your contribution gains meaning. With this alignment in place, you are now ready to move forward with intent, not assumption, and design what comes next with confidence.